Hello and welcome to the Rising Generation Leadership Podcast with me, Errol Lawson. If this is your first time joining us, we want to welcome you. It's great to have you with us today. The Rising Generation exists to inspire and equip Christian leaders from all walks of life, from all around the world, to fulfill their God-given potential. By hearing these interviews with established, internationally recognized leaders, we hope you'll be inspired to connect the dots between where you are now and where it is God has called you to be. Now, to receive notifications about future episodes, simply subscribe to our podcast show by either on iTunes if you're on Apple, or on Stitcher, the Stitcher app if you're on Android. You can find out how to do that just by going to our webpage at www.errollawson.com/podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with your friends, share it with your loved ones. Hopefully they will also benefit from the content. Guys, thanks for listening. Before we go into today's show, here's some news for you.
At some point in their lives, every great leader runs up against one problem that is simply impossible to ignore. How are they going to fund their vision? Today, Errol is offering you a free copy of his first book in the Rising Generation Leadership series entitled Big Vision, No Money: 5 Keys to Funding Your Vision. In the book, you'll find guidance from some of the great leaders featured on this podcast about the way Christian leaders should think about money and approach their finances. Simply go to www.errollawson.com to download your copy today.
Hello and welcome again to the Rising Generation Leadership Podcast today with myself, Errol Lawson, and my very special guest today is Eric Smarts. Eric Smarts is an author, a keynote speaker, a business coach, and market specialist who has a wealth of knowledge and corporate insight within various industries such as IT, finance, oil and gas, and all kinds of strategic small business and enterprise. His first book, MoneySmarts, The Business of Business, has made waves in the small to medium enterprise world and has taught many new entrepreneurs looking for smart and innovative ways to go into business and succeed. His other titles, MoneySmarts, the Investing Edition, and MoneySmarts, the Youth Edition, MoneySmarts, the Business Edition, target different audiences and help share secrets he has learned through his years of high-level business wisdom and exposure. Eric, thank you for joining us today, sir.
Hi, Errol. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm good. Good to have you. Good to have you, man. Listen, I know there's a lot more you're doing right now. Just take a moment, if you will, and fill in any gaps in your bio right there and give us a glimpse into what you're up to in the world.
Well, to be honest, you covered pretty much everything. I personally feel like you actually exaggerated that a bit, but yeah, I'm doing the best that I can. I'm a 26-year-old. I'm from London. I like to call myself a business coach. I try to help businesses the best way I can. I try to specialize in specifically marketing, branding, and selling because I feel like that's the most important part of a business. But first and foremost, I'm a Christian. I'm a believer. I believe in Jesus Christ. I love God. I'm a church goer. I'm a ministry boy. Man, so yeah, that's pretty much it.
You've done a lot for 26 years. You're relatively young, right? And for what you've done, how did you get started? How did you get into what you're doing right now? What was that story?
To be honest, I went to university and I did chemical engineering. I went to a university called Teesside University, which is all the way in Middlesbrough. It's far away, about 5 hours away from London. Okay. I went over there, did chemical engineering. I did it primarily because my dad, he's into oil and gas. He's a small business owner. Okay. He runs his business in Nigeria. That's where I'm originally from. So that was pretty much the path I wanted to take. Was slightly influenced by him to do so, but I did enjoy the concept of engineering and oil and gas at the time. So to be fair, I wasn't completely forced. I was more or less influenced. I went to do that degree. I pretty much enjoyed it, but I wasn't fulfilled. So that's where pretty much the story kind of changes. I wasn't really fulfilled with that line of work, and I didn't really see myself, with a white hat or white coat, trying to fix chemicals, and I just didn't see myself doing that. And I pretty much just went to what I knew, which was influencing people. And since I've been, since primary school time, since I was young, I've always pretty much been like the leader of the pack. Not necessarily the most outspoken one, because naturally I am quite introverted, I'm quite quiet. But I am someone who tries to, lead the way and try and pioneer new things, even from a young age. So I kind of went back to that that place. And I said to myself, okay, what can I do that will get as many people motivated, influenced, more inspired to do what they're called to do, because that's what I wanted to do. So I thought to myself, okay, let me just start maybe writing books, maybe let me just start blogging. Let me just start, posting stuff on social media. And that was from the age of around 19, 20, 21. So I just started writing stuff. And it wasn't books at first. It was more just notes. And then I realized to myself how limited I was and how much I didn't really know. And since I've been young, I've loved to read books. From Jacqueline Wilson to Roald Dahl, all those children books. When I was a 10-year-old, I completely ate them up. I just loved reading books. Wow. And reading books from a young age sparked my imagination. It sparked my imagination. So I remember when I was younger, I used to draw stuff. I used to try and draw stories. I even went to a point where I used to play with, when I was younger, I used to play with small toys and let them have wrestling matches. And this is really weird, Errol. I don't know, a lot of people would be like, what? But I used to do this when I was younger. I used to have toys, and I used to literally like play games with them and create kingdoms I was a very, very creative kid, and I loved to learn. So that part of me was always there. So when I went and did chemical engineering at university, I realized that this degree, this line of work, this path doesn't really spark that inner person within me. So I thought, let me just, try and influence people. Let me try and, create stuff. And it's been like that for the last 5-6 years now, since university. And it's gone from writing notes, to writing books and creating small businesses. It's
great, man.
And another thing as well, just to add on to that, like I was saying, I realized that I was limited. And in realizing that I was limited, I became this serial learner. I became this obsessive learner. And I went to thought leaders like, religious and non-religious ones, John Maxwell, Malcolm Gladwell. I read their books. People like Mike Murdoch, people like T.D. Jakes. I just started eating up from a young age. I started eating up knowledge, started watching, thank God for YouTube. I mean, without YouTube, I don't think I would be half as smart as I am right now, because I've watched sermon after sermon, speech after speech, keynote presentation after keynote presentation. And I've just learned so much in the last 5, 6, 7 years, and it's just grace of God, to be honest.
Well done, bro. Well done, man. And people listening, parents listening, young people listening, just highlighting the importance there of investing in ourselves. In our personal growth, our personal development, that curiosity for learning, that hunger, that appetite for just to learn more. Was there like a significant epiphany or like a revelation moment, a light bulb moment on your journey where maybe you were heading in one direction in your leadership journey and something happened that caused you to go, I'm going this way now? Can you tell us that story, if there's one of those?
There's been few, and I haven't had one big one, but I've had many, many ones. So I would get like a mini epiphany, in the middle of maybe a great sermon or a great presentation or a great book that I've read. So I've had so many I haven't had a really big one, but I've had so many small ones that I've just compounded. And for me, I always say, like, when you read a book or when you go to study, what you're really trying to do is learn about yourself. So when you go to study, you try to get a degree, or you read a book, or you go on a course, the job or the purpose of going on that course or reading that book or going for that degree is not to learn what you're learning, but to learn more about yourself. So it's like a retrospective thing. It's like you're constantly looking in the mirror. So for me, I haven't had one massive epiphany, but I've had, a long list of mini epiphanies along the way. And I've realized that if I'm not, number one, if I'm not happy, I'm going to live a life where at the end of it, I'll look back and ask, why did I do this to myself? Why did I put myself through this struggle? Why did I just take this job or go through this career or marry this person or, choose this line of work or, live in this country when I could have just, and we all, I feel like at 26, people say, oh, Eric, you're young. No, I don't think I'm young, because age and maturity are two different things. And that's just another topic in itself. But age and maturity are two different things. Maturity, I was speaking to someone earlier and I was saying maturity, this is still answering your question. Maturity, in my opinion, is awareness, it's sensitivity, it's alertness. So you don't have to be of a certain age to do that. You get a 9-year-old kid that comes from, the rural parts of Angola or the rural parts of India, maybe, and you look at them and you speak to them, you will see so much more maturity than looking at yourself. And it's not to do with age. It's the fact that they have seen so much, they've experienced so much, they've learned so much, that their level of maturity is so much higher. So maturity and age are two different things. For me, because of the learning process that I've gone through and the many epiphanies that I've experienced, people hear me speak and they're like, well, you sound like a 40-year-old or you sound like a 50-year-old. But it's not that. It's the fact that without even feeling the pain, I've looked at other people's pain. And I've taken from there. Because I remember one time when I was younger, I read a Mike Murdoch book, and he said he once bought a book that was about 10 pages for over £10,000.
Wow.
And the person who was with him asked him, why would you spend £10,000 on a book where there's only 12 pages? And his response to that young person was, I am buying for £10,000 something that someone went through their whole life to experience.
Wow.
So their experience that they're putting into that book is priceless. And I can go through, and he said to that young man that what we don't realize as young people is that mentorship is helping another person without allowing them to go through your pain. And for me, I can say I've been a great mentee to so many men and women, of high stature who don't even know who I am. But I've learned so much. I've picked so much from those different things. So I haven't had a big life-changing moment as such, but I've had many different ones.
So what's been your biggest challenge in your leadership journey, your biggest leadership challenge so far?
My biggest challenge, I would say, apart from procrastination, which we all struggle with, I would say my biggest challenge is reminding myself how limited I am. So I know how limited I am. I don't believe there's anyone who has reached a certain level of quote unquote success without realizing how limited they are. But I feel like we do forget a lot. We have a chronic amnesia when it comes to remembering how limited we are and how much we need people. So sometimes there's this superhero, complex that we give ourselves, that we can do it all ourselves, or we can, manage it ourselves, or we can, hold the burden. So I think that's been my biggest mistake or flaw. Some of the things that I am doing right now, I would have achieved 10 times results if I just included some more people. If I just, worked a bit better with some people, realized my need for people. So yeah, I think that's been my biggest flaw in terms of leadership. Maybe just thinking that I can do it myself.
That's good.
Yeah.
And now where you're at right now in this stage in your journey, how do you define success at the moment?
Success for me, I remember last time we spoke, I said success for me is pretty much black and white. I think there's a higher level of success that a lot of us don't really want to go into because of the fears that we have related to it. Success for me is, setting a goal, achieving it. Full stop. That's it. That's success. So I wake up in the morning, I plan to be alive by the end of the day. It was a successful day because I didn't want to die. I planned on being alive, the next day, and I made it. That's success. So I wanted to, go to the shop, buy some milk. I was successful. I wanted to type up this blog post. That was success. So I feel like we make success bigger than what it really is. Let me just elaborate on that. We make success this massive mountain peak that we're trying to reach. I don't think that's what success is personally. I just think success is black and white, very, very simple. You set a goal, you achieve it.
Right.
If the goal is to reach the mountain peak and you do it, okay, now that is success. But success in its purest form is just completing a goal. What I think we call success, what I think is success, but we don't realize is success, is purpose. Now, purpose that ties in with what you are called to do, what you are assigned to do. That's a different concept. That's much deeper than success. Success is just, I want to buy this thing. I'm going to save up for it. I'm going to buy it. I bought it. I was successful in doing this. And then there's purpose. And with purpose, in my opinion, the race never stops.
So how does one find or discover that purpose? And what do you mean by purpose?
When I say purpose, for anyone who's wondering, when I say purpose, it's purpose, calling, destiny, assignment, all rolled up in one. And with those four concepts, it's what am I on earth here to do? What is my mission here on earth? Because I personally believe every single individual was brought on earth by God to solve a problem. Every single person was sent here on earth, whether you're religious, spiritual or not, you are here to solve a problem. And one thing a great man said, can't remember exactly who the author was he said this, he goes, we either do two things here on earth, and by these two things will be remembered. We either create problems or we solve them. If you create a problem, you will be known, you will be recognized, you will be remembered, especially if it's a really big one. Osama bin Laden goes down in history as one of the great terrorists in human history. Same thing with Adolf Hitler. Same thing with Stalin. These men, they go down in history for a problem they caused. At the same time, Mother Teresa, Jesus Christ, Muhammad Ali, Michael Jackson, these men, they're remembered, and women, they're remembered for the problems that they solved. So for me, I just believe the problem thing is the most important factor one should realize or one should accept when they're thinking about their life, their career, and what they're going to do in the years that they have, because it's about the purpose. The purpose. Why am I here? You know, when you say that line, I did it on purpose. What does that mean? That means I intentionally did it. I know why I did it. I did it for this reason. Same thing. So anyone who's wondering, what do you mean by purpose? Just look at the way we use it in everyday, vernacular. We say, I did it on purpose. Awesome. I did that on purpose. If you ask a kid, did they do it by accident or on purpose? They'll give you an answer and they'll say, oh, I did it on purpose. Meaning I know why I did it. I have reasons, Dad or Mom, why I did it. And that's the same thing with what I'm talking about. It's nothing deep. It's simple. Why are you here? Why are you here? What did you come here to do? Did you just come here to get a degree, get a job, buy a house, pay a mortgage, be in debt and die? I don't think so. You came to solve a problem. So that's the purpose thing. The purpose is found in the problem.
Are you seriously fired up about growing as a leader in business or church-based ministry? Are you feeling somewhat frustrated about not having realized your full potential in what you've been called to do? Could you do with someone to help you get some extra clarity or to be a sounding board for your plans and ideas? Great athletes have coaches, so do great leaders. The right leadership coach for you will result in an increased sense of clarity, direction, and purpose, dramatically increasing the results you achieve. If you're ready to step up, contact Errol to book a free, no-obligation, introductory coaching session and see whether Errol is the right coach for you. Errol takes the lessons learned from his own leadership journey and from his extensive research to help leaders and entrepreneurs to step into their biggest challenges and rise to their next level. Email admin@errollawson.com right now to schedule your call.
I'm hearing somebody say once, when anybody made anything, the creator of that thing, they made it for a reason, whether it's that remote control, it was created to solve a problem, whether it's that chair we're sitting on, it's created to solve a problem or provide a solution. And we, likewise, created by our Heavenly Father God, He created us, He made us for a purpose, for a reason. And so it's our job to go and discover that. Now, maybe someone's listening and they're thinking to themselves, I get that, I agree that I must have a purpose. I believe that God created me for a reason, but I just don't know what that is right now. I don't know how to find it. How do I? Brilliant. That's brilliant. How do I do that?
I'm part of this movement called the Royal Priesthood. I think I spoke to you about it last time. I was saying that it's a group of, we're just young youth leaders, aspiring entrepreneurs. Some of us are ministers, some of us are singers, some of us are authors. And we've just come together as a collective to just try and sow seeds into university students around the country. And our job is just to elaborate on the reality that they are kings and queens. So we go around to universities. Last year we managed to go to about 5 or 6. This year we're just gonna completely blow it out of the park because we're trying to reach every single university. And we're just trying to teach these young 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds that, listen, this is what you're supposed to do. And in saying that, we speak to so many youth who ask that question. And the answer is very simple. If you want to know what your purpose in life is, if you want to know what your assignment is, if you want to know what God has created you to do, you've got to look at a certain number of things. The first thing you've got to look at is what you are good at. That's the first question. What am I actually good at? And it could be anything from brushing your teeth to doing makeup, to helping people, giving people advice, cooking. It could be anything. That's not important right now because with the self-discovery thing, what people want, they want a big answer. They want a big answer. And that's where we miss it. That's where we want a massive answer. We want to be told you are this amazing politician. But no, this is the reason why you're not going to get that. Because God works with seeds. God works with seeds. God doesn't make anything the finished product before it's the finished product. He works with raw material. He works with raw material. So what makes us us is made of very, very small molecules and atoms, very small. What makes us us is our tissues and our cells. They make organs. The organs make bodies. The bodies make people. The people make families. The people make schools. The people make communities, blah, 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 blah. You go from this tiny, minute...
So where do they go from there now? So they figure out that what their strengths are, what they're good at.
Figure out what your strengths are. After that, you ask yourself, what pain do I feel most? What pain do I feel most? So you figure out your gifts. You acknowledge the fact that God works with seeds. Then you ask yourself, what pain do I feel? What frustrates me? When I see this, what happens? What reaction do I get? For me personally, if I want to use an example, I am someone who's very, very nitpicky. I have an incredible, insatiable attention for detail. Incredible. Like I pick
which
things
is unique,
that,
you know.
I pick things that people are like, how did you even notice that? And because of that, I'm a good, I won't say great, I'm a good judge of people. I can judge someone. I can let me say discern, maybe discern's a better word. I can discern characters and personalities even before I speak to the person. Why? Because it's a gift that God's given me to just pick, to just look at stuff and pick. I can walk into a room and say, okay, you know what? That's out of order. That's out of shape. And the person who I'm saying it to, the owner of the thing, doesn't even realize it. So for me, I looked at those kind of things and I said, okay, with this skill set, because most people, when you say gifts and skills and talents, they're thinking of football, they're thinking of, music, they're thinking of, arts and science. No. I'm talking about core gifts, things that are within you, things that don't require a laptop, a pen, a paper, no physical object, you as you are. See, that's the difference. A lot of people, they put skill and talent with a material thing, with a physical object. So you're like, I'm good with a guitar. I'm good with a set of drums. I'm good with a football. I'm good with a laptop. I'm good with a paintbrush. Yes, you are. But what makes you good with those physical things is something that's internal.
This is great advice, guys. So you got to find out your strengths. You got to understand that God works with seeds. It's that don't despise that small beginning. And then what's that pain you feel, or whose pain do you feel? What makes you cry? What really upsets you? What breaks your heart? What gets you angry, frustrated? And then the last point you made there.
What the last point I made was so when you've seen all of those three things, you now you have to constantly be asking questions. You ask yourself, what would I do different? Because there's no point you picking something. I remember I was speaking to a friend of mine the other day and I said, we as a generation, us millennials, anyone born between 86 and beyond, we have a problem. And this is the big problem we have. We are experts at picking out problems, but we have no ability to pick out solutions. What good is a doctor telling you have cancer if he doesn't have any cure or any response towards curing it, or any antidote, or anything that he can help you suppress it? What good is it? You're just telling me a problem. And if you lined up 100 millennials now and asked them, what's wrong with this? What's wrong with the government? What's wrong with this? What's wrong with that? What don't you like? Oh, they will protest. They will give you. You'll be so surprised at the intellectual knowledge they have of that problem. But then ask them the solution. You hear silence. So you ask yourself, how is it that people 100 years ago were able to come up with solutions like light bulbs, phones, the internet, technology? How is it that these people, cars? I was watching, there's this, just a side note, this is an amazing documentary I advise even you, Errol, to watch. It's called American Genius, and it's on Netflix. It's the most amazing series you'll watch because it basically it shows you how these men and women created these things like the bomb, things like, the atomic bomb, that is space discovery, airplanes, cars. It's just amazing because it will just show you the insight of some of these great pioneers. And the point I'm trying to make is we are a generation now who we are given so much information, but we don't know how to use it. So we have to ask ourselves, the fourth point is, what would I do differently? If you're not someone who can ask that question, the top three, the three questions before that mean nothing. It means nothing. You're never going to find your purpose if you don't have solutions to the problems you like, the problems you don't like.
That's good. I want to dig a bit deeper into your kind of your daily routine, your lifestyle, so to speak. Typically, I know John Maxwell said that that the secrets to success are hidden in your daily routine. What does the first 90 minutes of your day typically look like?
Okay, I'll be completely honest. I'll be first of all completely honest. I have not perfected this. I'm working on it because a lot of people who do have a perfect morning routine are at a place where they have a perfect morning routine. I am still working on mine. But here's what mine should look like, or here's what mine looks like on the best day. What my 90 minute, initial morning routine looks like is I wake up in the morning. I try to wake up between the hours of 6 to 8. I try 6 to 8. I wake up in the morning, and the first thing I try to do is ask myself, what do I want to achieve today? That's the first thing I do. The second thing I do is when I say pray, I want to say pray, but what I really do is I just talk to God. I actually speak to him like he's sitting in the room. And I just ask him how I am going to do what I've just decided a few seconds ago I want to do. How do I do it? How would you do it? How do you suggest? And I ask questions like that. It's literally, if you overheard, if you came to my room seconds after I woke up, you would think someone else is in there, because I actually speak out loud and I say, how am I going to do this? How would I do this? The second thing I do, or the third thing I do, is I have a glass of water. And I'm a health freak. I go to the gym, I play football, so I'm a health freak. So I follow this ritual religiously, literally. I drink a glass of water or a bottle of water as quickly as I can. Do that. The fourth thing I do, and this is where I'm going to touch on a bit, and it's a bit different, but what I do is I have a cold shower.
Okay.
And the reason why I have
every day.
Every day.
Okay.
Every day. In fact, I have multiple showers a day because I go to the gym, I swim, I run. So I'm always breaking some sort of sweat during the day. So I shower quite a lot. Awesome. And because of that, I don't like using hot water every single time. So because of that, I've adopted this mentality. Well, hold on, you might as well just use cold water. Then I read on cold water and what it does. And this is what cold water does. Errol. Just a side note, this is what cold water does. Number one, first thing it does, it opens up your blood vessels. And I know this is not a health podcast, but this might help someone. It opens up your blood vessels. So the reason why when we go into cold water, we breathe really, really hard is because our lungs are trying to get as much oxygen as possible.
Wow.
Just a small health tip. I have a cold shower. The second reason why I have a cold shower, and this is what could help anyone listening, is I'm scared of it.
Wow. I
have not met a person, unless you're born in a very, very, hot climate country, where like maybe Africa or Asia. I've not met a person born in the UK who likes cold water. So every single morning, I face that quote unquote fear of showering in cold water.
Wow.
And I asked myself this. I know this is weird, it's random. And I was speaking to my fiancée the other day and I was telling her about it. She was like, okay. She just thought it was a bit weird. But I'm like, no. Sometimes some of the weirdest things can give you the most revelation. I said, every single morning, I face the fear of showering in cold water. And every time that I do it, I get used to it. And every time I get used to it, I adapt to it. And after a while, it no longer feels like cold water. It becomes normal. Wow. And in that small morning routine, Errol, there is a massive lesson on life. And that's what I think is amazing about it, because I dare you to spend the next 5 days bathing in cold water or showering in cold water. Watch some of the simple things. And, there's an amazing scripture that says the wisdom of this world will be seen as foolishness. Mm-hmm. Some of the most simple concepts are found in the most simple things. Some of the most complex concepts are found in the most simple things, So for me, I pray, I meditate, I ask God what I should do and how I should do it. Mm-hmm. Get the glass of water. And then I have my cold shower. And that cold shower wakes me up more than any cup of coffee could.
Awesome. Wow. And are there any other habits that have been, key to you being able to be as productive and as fruitful as you have been up to now?
One of the habits is prayer, like I mentioned, and reading. I love to read books. So for me, I always want to, invest in myself first before I start. Even if I've got even before this interview, I made sure that I topped up. And one thing that's very important for us leaders and us aspiring leaders is to always be in a position where you're topped up, because you can't give what you don't have. True. So even though I've got all of this knowledge, I've got, let's say 26 years worth of knowledge, or let's say 10 years worth of knowledge and insight and blah, 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 in my head to share on this podcast interview, I made sure that I topped up. So for me, one of the biggest habits for me is reading. I'm always reading, let's say 5 to 6 books at a time. So what I do is, instead of focusing on one, I will just read a chapter of each per day. And I would want to continue, but I'll stop. I'll say, no, one chapter each.
How much reading you do every day?
So I would try and read at least 6 chapters minimum per day.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Or one chapter of every book I'm reading at one time. So if it's 6 books at a time, that means 6 chapters. If it's 2 books, it means 2 chapters. And I will make sure I stop at 1 chapter for a reason, because it just gives me a certain, I can finish a book in about 2 or 3 days. I can finish a book in a day if it's under 200 pages, because I just skim through it. I don't read books word for word. I skim through it, and I've got my highlight, I've got my pen, and I just skim through it, get what I can, and I get out. I don't take as long to read. I always say to people, don't take as long to read a book as the person who wrote it. That doesn't make sense.
Awesome.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. So I always skim through the books. So when I'm reading, I read, I pray, and I work out.
Cool,
working out for me is very, very important.
So what's your biggest weakness then? Because you are like a machine, brother.
I'm not perfect. I can list weaknesses. I can list weaknesses for days, Errol. And I feel like that's a strength in itself, because Absolutely. I know how flawed I am.
So what's the biggest weakness?
The biggest weakness for me, biggest weakness for me is the one I mentioned earlier on, when I said feeling like I have no weakness, or telling myself I have no weakness. That's a weakness in itself. So you can call that pride. You can call that self-sufficiency. Just feeling like you can, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's one thing when you take that on, and you isolate from people. It's another thing when you take that on and you isolate from God. That's where it gets dangerous, because with people around you, you do a lot more. You multiply your efforts, you multiply your time. But without God, without people, you can still kind of get along. You might be slower, but you get along. But without God, you're dead. You've got nothing. So with me, it's my biggest weakness is sometimes forgetting that I need both people and I need God around me. I isolate myself sometimes when I really want to get down to work. And sometimes it even means isolation from God. Prayer time, suffers, reading the Bible suffers. I'm more interested in reading, the business books more than I'm reading, the Bible itself. And I haven't even mentioned that yet, but that's a massive habit. That's a massive habit that gives me everything. The book of Proverbs is the most important book in the world. There's no other book that has the importance of book of Proverbs. No other book, because that book in itself is wisdom personified.
So what's the biggest strength?
It's got everything. What's my biggest strength? I would say my biggest strength is my attention to detail. Okay. Probably, yeah.
Sounds like the flip side of your weakness, which is usually the case,
Yeah, which is amazing. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I would say my attention to detail, picking out things.
It's good. And like, if you think back, right, when you were kind of maybe just starting out in your professional leadership journey, so you were a natural leader, but you then stepped out into business or into entrepreneurship. What, if anything, was holding you back at that time in your journey? If anything at all was holding you back, what was it?
It's a good question. What was holding me back? I would say probably fear. Okay. Fear can be broken down into 4 parts. You've got fear of rejection, fear of the unknown, fear of success, and fear of failure. I would say for me, it's fear of rejection, because every time I speak to someone, they want to write something down. Okay. Meaning I'm someone who, most times when I give advice, they take it. It's like, wow. But then there's that fear of, what if this person I'm speaking to doesn't recognize me or see me as the person I know to be? So that's the rejection thing. So for me, whenever I have, hesitated with writing a book, or remember we were speaking about what you're doing with the whole, word for today, like when you're talking about things that, make you kind of hesitant, it's that rejection or the not acceptance of what you're doing. So that's one thing that kind of used to draw me back. But now I just realized, even if it's one person, we shouldn't underestimate the power of one. Even if it's one person that listens to this podcast and their life has changed, it's worth it. The Bible says angels rejoice over the salvation of just one soul.
Amen.
Yeah. So.
Amen. And no, thank you for that. And I mean, going back, I know your dad has been a big influence in your life. Who have been, if you could think of any others, like if you could think of 3 significant mentors in your journey so far, who are they?
There's so many. My dad has been a mentor. He's been a business mentor in the sense where he's just shown me how to provide for his family, how to do what needs to be done. When I was around 7 or 8, he moved from London to Nigeria to start his business. Massive risk at the time, and he's seen a reasonable amount of success and failure, but he's done what he needed to do. And because of that, he's provided, he's mentored, he's helped a lot. So my dad, number one. My mum, that's obvious. She's been a massive influence as well. But in terms of externals, I would mention 3 names out of many. I would mention a pastor called Pastor Paul Adefarasin. I mentioned him to you last time we spoke. He's a pastor in Nigeria. He runs a ministry, or he's the leader of a ministry called House on the Rock. He's just an influential leader in the sense of his confidence, his eloquence, his humility. He's one. Mike Murdoch, another one. A very, 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 very inspirational is the least I can call him. He's just been a massive, massive, massive figurehead in terms of just speaking like Solomon spoke, in the sense where it's principle, principle, principle. T.D. Jakes has been great. The late Miles Monroe has been great.
So pause. So you got 3 there. Those are your big 3. So you said Paul,
yeah, those are my big 3.
Yeah. Mike Murdoch, and who's your third?
I'll go with Miles Monroe.
Miles Monroe. Okay. Now, because I'm gonna dig a bit deeper into them. You see, I want to know, like, those 3 men have had a massive influence in your life. What's the best piece of wisdom you received from each of those 3? Let's start with Paul Adefarasin. Paul
Adefarasin, he hasn't. I'm not going to quote something, but his thing is excellence.
Right.
His one is excellence. I'll give each of them a word, a phrase, excellence. With him, I feel, even if you were to just do your research, if you ever come to Lagos with me, I'll take you to his church and you won't believe you're in Africa. You would not believe it. He has this spirit of excellence that for me just is amazing. So excellence with him. Detail, excellence. That's Pastor Paul Adefarasin. That's what I get from him. It's just always to seek excellence in everything you do.
Awesome. And then Mr. Mike Murdoch.
Mr. Mike Murdoch. I mean, come on, what more needs to be said?
Prolific,
if
isn't
anyone
he?
doesn't know who Mike Murdoch is, I urge you to find out who he is. He is not I don't call him a preacher. I don't call him a philosopher. I just call him a wisdom person. He's a wisdom person. That's it. He's not a preacher. I can't box him into something and say he's this, he's that. He's not a spiritual leader. He's a wisdom person. He's like a guru. He's like, he's written so many books that have just affected my mindset. It's amazing. So for him, what has he taught me? Wow. Quote after quote. I mean, he's got this thing where he just says a sentence, and it doesn't have that many words, but it carries so much weight. I mean, I remember he's a person who taught me this. This is one thing he said to me. He says, lions, they spend more time sleeping than they do hunting.
Wow.
They spend more time sleeping. And there's a reason. He said there's a reason for that. It's because he's the one that taught me that rest is reward. Rest is reward. You earn the privilege of rest. God showed us the blueprint. And that's one thing that's helped me in terms of work-life balance. Another thing he told me as well was that access is a gift. Access is a gift. When you're given access, it's a gift to you. It's not a privilege, it's a gift. It's given to you. Because you can't really give someone a privilege. You can only give someone a gift. When you give someone access, that means anything you give is a gift. He's taught me so much. I mean, come on. He's taught me so much. So Mike Murdoch, wisdom person, please go follow him. Go buy his books. Go listen to him. And the last person was
Miles Monroe.
I mean, he is, for me, one of the best orators or thought leaders in the sense of purpose. His whole thing was purpose. From when he was young, when he just came out in the 80s, and when he just blew, the Assemblies of God and the giants of the faith back then, the generals, when he blew them away as a young 25-year-old with this whole purpose thing, he took the whole purpose teaching to another level. And with him, it's a kingdom mindset. It's a kingdom mindset. What he's given me is a kingdom mindset, understanding the kingdom of God as a government and not a religion. It's a government, it's a system. And that's what he's taught me. And I live by those principles, because what we don't understand as believers, Errol, is that we are from a different place. We are under a different jurisdiction. We're under a different legal system. And our rules are different from the rules of the world. So someone like Mike Murdoch, he just, for the most part of his ministry, before he sadly died, he went on and on and on about purpose. And he went on and on about, the kingdom of God and what it stands for and the government of Jesus Christ. And for me, that's just, it's every time I listen to him, every time I read one of his books, it's amazing. So yeah.
Praise God, praise God, praise God. Awesome, brother. Awesome. What's the one thing you're most fired up about right now?
All right, right now, I have this workshop, and I'm really, really excited about this, Errol. I've got this workshop that I've done, that I've created. Sorry, we're about to have our first live workshop. I've been doing this for a couple of months now online, but now it's the first in-person live workshop. I've called it the Masterclass Brand Workshop. So basically, what I'm putting together is a team, and we are going to help entrepreneurs find their brand identity, master their brand. So it's called Masterclass Brand. It's a live workshop. It's happening on September the 23rd and 24th. It's a 2-day workshop. It's going to be intensive. So I've only put out 100 places. In fact, I don't even think I want as many as 100, because I really want to work with some businesses and help them with their branding, their marketing, their sales pitch. And it's just a matter of, clarifying their brand and explaining to them that, the things that you're seeing Apple do, Facebook do, Google do, what they are doing is something that can be mirrored, something that can be, copied as such, something that can be emulated. And so, yeah, that's what I'm really excited about. Tickets are selling. And if you want to know more about it, masterclassbrand.uk. That's what I'm so excited about. And I've got a couple book ideas as well. We're always talking about books, me and you.
Yeah,
I've got like 5 or 6 books that I need to write, before the year runs out. So I'm really excited about that.
Wow. Awesome. So the masterclass, the website again for that?
Masterclass Brand. So that's masterclassbrand.uk. If you go over there, you read more about it. You see the ticket prices. They're so affordable. And I always say to people as well, like, when you talk about marketing, branding, and selling, it's the most important thing in a business. I know all these other things are important, but if you're not selling, you don't have a business. If you're not marketing right, no one knows you. If you're not branding right, your business doesn't have the identity it's supposed to have. Every great brand, Google, all these big brands, they have an identity. There's something about them. They would say, oh, it's the spirit of the business. Because I remember someone was talking to me about, football, and they were saying, oh, the team spirit. That's a brand. The team spirit's a brand, so ministry, business, whatever you're into, it has a brand, it has an identity. And we want to help as many businesses as we can. It's a 2-day workshop, Friday and Saturday. So yeah, I advise as many people listening, if you're in the, location.
Go to
masterclassbrand.uk.
All right.
The first location will be in Nottingham, Nottingham, UK. The reason why I picked Nottingham as a first location is it's just that it's central. So if anyone is coming from, different parts of the country, if they find out about it, they want to come, it's in a central location. I plan on running one in London, hopefully in November, and again, maybe further north again. But I just feel like this is something it's going to help a lot of businesses. And it's my way of just giving back what I know, because information that's not shared is worthless.
Awesome. Well done, bro. Sounds fantastic. How else can we find out more about you and what you're doing, your resources, your work?
Find me on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. I'm pretty much active on all of them. My Twitter handle is Mr. Eric Smarts. Mr. Eric Smarts. Follow me on Twitter. I'm loving Twitter right now. I don't know why, but for some weird reason, I'm loving Twitter. And the reason why I'm loving Twitter now is because I just realized to myself, I only have about 1,000 tweets. And I look at all the thought leaders and the pioneers and the influencers around me, and they've got like 100,000 tweets. I'm like, okay, I need to pick up my tweet game. So for me, I'm tweeting now my thoughts, my opinions. Hopefully that helps someone. So Twitter, that's Mr. Eric Smarts. On Facebook, it's just Eric Smarts. You can like my page, or you can, add me as a friend. I don't mind either one. I'm always sharing stuff on the business, success, finance. Instagram, same thing, Eric Smarts, and Snapchat, Eric Smarts as well. Snapchat's good.
Wow.
Snapchat's
good stuff, bro. Guys, go and check out the website. Your websites you want to share with us? What's the site you want to share this today?
So the websites that you can find out a bit more about what I do is masterclassbrand.uk. That's to find out about the workshop, the location, what we're going to be doing, how we're going to go about, helping you as a business. And then if you want to find out a bit more, there's hamptonandshaw.com. That's the business that I run. That's a marketing and branding agency, hamptonandshaw.com, with an AND rather than the sign. So Hampton, HAMPTON TON and AND Shaw, SHAW.com. You find out everything from
Awesome. Eric, thank you so much for your time today, bro. God bless you. Really appreciate your time and your input into our lives today. You know, your inspiration. It's lifted us. I'm sure someone listening's got some inspiration. There's been a spark, a catalyst. This conversation has been a catalyst for some action somewhere to move somebody forward. So we thank you for that. And we appreciate you, bro. God bless you.
I hope someone will be blessed by this. Thank you so much, Errol.
Thank you again for joining us today on the Rising Generation Leadership Podcast. I pray you've been inspired, you've been lifted, you've been encouraged to take your personal leadership to the next level. We really encourage you guys to just take action, make it happen, do something, start somewhere, go out and change the world in some way, big or small. Guys, if you've enjoyed the podcast today, please share with your friends, share with your loved ones, your colleagues, someone out there you think might benefit from hearing this great content. And if you want some more questions answering, you got a question, email me, Errol@errollawson.com. Or if you want a free 30 to 45 minute coaching session with myself around a leadership challenge or issue you're working on in your business, your church, or in your organization, please feel free to email me right away. We'll get you booked in. It's Errol@errollawson.com. Thank you again for listening. Go to our iTunes page, check it out, check out the previous episodes. Give us a nice review, that would be awesome. Really appreciate if you could do that for us. We really appreciate you just for being here and listening. Thank you so much. God bless you, and we'll see you on the next episode of The Rising Generation.